Joining me on this week's minor league cricket show is Melbourne Renegades GM James Rosengarten. James, thank you for joining me in spite of the time zone difference.
Thanks for having me, Nate. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome that you could join us. You come to the Renegades with a strong background in sports management and administration, even serving as a GM for the Australian Grand Prix. Has it always been your goal to be involved in sports in this capacity?
Yeah, thanks. No, it's nice to be here today, and it's game day tonight. So we've got our first game tonight versus the Adelaide Strikers. So perfect time to speak to you all. Now, look, I've always been interested in this sort of side of the sports admin. Worked with Formula One and MotoGP in Australia for 4 years before this, but it was always a dream to get across into the cricket side and be close to that sport that I truly love and to have an impact on the game that I love. So it's been nice to be here.
Did you grow up playing cricket?
I did. I was a leg spinner, which I love doing, and a little bit of a lower order batsman. But I enjoy it. It's nice to be around, and mostly watching now, but still enjoyable.
Excellent. Yeah. So you don't have any Brad Hogg ambitions bowling this late in your career? Yeah.
No. But you never know tonight. And you never know. If I get a call up, I'll be ready.
Great. I think they might turn to Brad first, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's probably got a bit more variation than me.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of excitement from cricket fans in the USA and in India surrounding your acquisition of Unmukt Chand for the BBL 11. Unmukt recently won the championship of the first rendition of minor league cricket with the Silicon Valley Strikers. How much did the Renegades consider these performances when selecting Unmukt as one of your overseas players?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been watching Unmukt for quite a while, playing in the minor league, and watched his performances really closely. A couple of good half centuries early on, which we loved the way he played, and we were really impressed by the standard over there. Full stop. But I guess the one that really caught our eye was that 132 off 69 against Austin that day, and we know Unmukt was really proud of that innings, and so we should have been. It was some real power hitting that we liked what we saw. So look, he's a really impressive person, really impressive man, and a great fit for the way the Renegades builds their culture. And that's where we start when we bring in any player, that they can fit in with what we do and what we're about. And he's certainly that. And his batting is a very nice bonus. So we're looking forward to seeing what he can do in the Melbourne and Australian pitches. His
leadership really rubbed off quite a bit this season, and he almost willed his team. Was in a really tight playoff race the entire season long. It was relentless. It was very close. There was a 3-horse race, and that batting performance that he had, the 130 odd that he scored, really helped boost them when they needed it the most. It really went right down to the wire. They almost missed the playoffs, and they end up making the championship, winning the championship, which is really impressive. He also just recently got married on his way over to Melbourne, so he's been quite a busy guy. I don't know many brides who would be terribly thrilled about having their honeymoon cut short, but I think it's going to be all worth it at the end.
Absolutely. Look, and we were really excited to sort of fit in around the wedding, and I think we'll get to meet his bride, his wife, soon when she can get out here. We've had some border closures again, but when they open up, I think we'll get a chance to meet her out here, which is great. And we're very much a family club as well. We've got a lot of players, partners heavily involved, and kids as well. So it'd be nice to meet her.
You have some very talented overseas players on the team, and a limit of 3 per playing 11. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly right. So you can have replacement players over the 3, but you can only name 3 in each game. That's right.
This year you have Zahir Khan joining the Afghanistan teammate and all-rounder Mohammad Nabi to give you spin from either side, and then England's Reece Topley. He's a tall left-arm quick bowler. All those players bring roles that are very valuable to T20. It looks like Unmukt will have his work cut out for him cracking that playing 11.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think it's a really good point. I think that one of the main thing is it's a very long tournament, the Big Bash League, and squads win this tournament. Good, strong, deep squads. So Nabi, who's the captain of Afghanistan, has been an incredible player for a long time. Zahir is spinning particularly on that Marvel Stadium wicket, our home grounds, very, very impressive. And Reece Topley was brought into that English squad, World Cup squad, squad as well. Is a very impressive bowler, and obviously Unmukt as well. So we love the depth of the team that they give us, and we'll rotate them throughout the season, no doubt about it. So everyone will get a good go. The list is about 18. There's about 18 people, so you can imagine to do quite a lot of rotation through that 11.
Yeah, definitely. Now you guys are coming off of a couple of really tough seasons, but it's not been too long ago that the Renegades won the championship there. What is it like being a GM of a T20 franchise team?
Yeah, absolutely. The last 2 years probably haven't been where we want them to be, but really confident we'll turn that around this year. Look, it's a really great role. I think I love that you get a mix of that corporate administration, sports administration side with the commercial revenue models, the sponsorship models, and working with some great partners and stakeholders like your government, who are really important. We have a very strong women's team who finished second at the end of the season only a couple of weeks ago and third after the finals. So to have a really strong sort of position in women's sport here is fantastic. Working with Cricket Australia is a great challenge as well. Then obviously, the fun part about building that team list, being able to look all over the world to find great talent and to, I think, Unmukt's a perfect example of the creativity you can have as a general manager. So the first Indian player to play in the Big Bash and to have such a strong presence in North America is really exciting for us. So I love that. I love the combination of all those things.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think a lot of people with fantasy sports being as big as it is, I think you've got a lot of people's dream job right now. It's but I'm sure it's not quite as flashy as a lot of people think it is.
Yes, well, I'm a big fantasy sport person as well, Nate. I love my fantasy sports, so that's where I think that's got my eye in with a couple of these things. So, I think there's some real challenges, particularly over the last couple of years around. Your main recruiting work is done with overseas players. The real challenge about getting them into the country with quarantine requirements and all those things has made it difficult. So that's why we're really happy with the 4 that we've been able to bring in this year. And I think moving forward to maybe there'll be a bit more flexibility into who you can bring in, and building that squad will be great.
And as you do that, your eyes now on minor league cricket a little bit, bringing in Unmukt. Do you think that will continue? Do you think you'll continue to pay attention to this league?
Absolutely. I spend a lot of time looking at cricket stats, which I don't mind doing as a hobby anyway, so it's quite good to do for work. But a lot of footage as well, and we watched a lot of footage of the minor league. And I think the key point is that as that standard grows, that's the really important thing. So one of the things we were looking with Unmukt was the quality of bowling that he was batting against, and obviously Australian pitches are challenging, bit of extra bounce over here, and obviously some real depth of fast bowling, and so we were watching the bowlers particularly closely to see the standard, and I think we were really impressed with the standard that was coming out from the bowling side as well. So that gave us great confidence to take on a batsman that had done so well against that, and then watching Unmukt out here in the nets and in the practice games, he made 44 in the first practice match I think we had last week.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it looked pretty good. Yeah,
looked really good. So all these are great signs, and looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Excellent. Yeah, I think a lot of people that come here are surprised at the standard. But now that it's being organized, it's a little bit easier to see. Before, yes, there were just a lot of different disparate leagues that, all over the place, sometimes overlapping each other. And now you've got, we actually have a standard league that's going to raise the level for everybody and give a measuring stick. I know you said you like looking at stats, and I know Australia gets a lot of credit for. It was interesting, the narrative for Australia winning the World Cup. Oh yes, finally a team that ignores the advanced stats and just goes with talent. And I was like, I don't think that's true. I think they probably look at it just about as closely as anybody else does, if not more.
You're absolutely right. The amount of preparation that goes into those games is incredible. And I think what I'm really learning, spending more time with the coaches on the women's and men's side, is that the best way is, how do you simplify all those stats? Because in cricket, there's so many. How do you simplify that into a really clear message for your players so they know what to do? And if they're a bowler, they know where to bowl it. And if they're a batsman, they know where to hit it. And I think that's the challenge.
Well, we've got some good overlap. And Unmukt's not the only overlap with American cricket that you have on your own team. In fact, you have more ties to the USA than just Unmukt. David Sacra takes over as head coach this year. David was briefly appointed as the fast bowling coach of the USA in 2019, and he brings an exceptional resume to the job. He's coached all over the world. You must be pretty happy to have him.
Extremely happy. He's a wonderful person, and what I'm really starting to see is his incredible ability to bond a team and build a team together. With franchise cricket and franchise sport generally, you don't get that long pre-season that you might in an NFL or something like that. You've got a very short period, and we would have had our full list together for probably 5 days before our first game. So David's ability to bring a group together and bond and unite a team in a short period of time is probably the first thing that stood out to me. Obviously, there's that real depth of cricket intellect, and particularly around the bowling side of it. But he's an outstanding leader, and speaking to the players, I know they're very excited to play for him, which is very important.
Right, and we also have some other Australians over here. Of course, Julia Price as the women's head coach, doing excellent things with the women's team. I think of all the things that have happened in the country this year with cricket, many good things have happened. I think the women's development is probably the most exciting. They put together a national tournament. They put together a national talent search, and they did it. They did a national women's and a national women's U19 championship this year. Very impressive stuff. We know Julia Price really has her act together. She's done a lot when it comes to spreading sports, even in being involved in the AFL over there, spreading the AFL to areas where it wasn't yet popular. So we're in great hands there. And of course, we have Bert Cockley as a strength and conditioning coach, former Australia fast bowler. He raved about Saker's class and his abilities as a coach. So it looks like you're in great hands. At one point, the Renegades GM reported to the Stars GM, both teams being in Melbourne. It's a very confusing scenario, especially to me and probably to a lot of other Americans. At the very least, it doesn't look great. So regardless of the reality of how that relationship worked before, and you haven't managed under that reality, do you think things like that in cricket, which we see all the time, do you think things like that interfere with building fan trust at all?
Yeah, look, I absolutely understand. I think what you're saying there, I think it is a strange model, and it's absolutely been cleaned up now. So we've got myself in charge of the Renegades, and Blair Crouch, who's in charge with the Stars, who's an outstanding general manager with a great background in sport as well. So we're fiercely competitive now as far as how it all works, and but then also, I guess the nice thing about having two teams in the town is that you can work together when you need to as well. And then we all report into the Cricket Victoria structure, which is a very very professional structure here. So you're able to, I guess, share key resources, which is helpful to help build the club. Okay, absolutely. I think I can understand the those optics looks of it, and I think it's something that's been tidied up now, and the delineation, I think, is quite clear. We're a two-team town. The Stars have basically the MCG and Marvel Stadium. Our two home grounds sit next to each other. The Stars have the East and we have the West, and we're very clear, very delineated in how we operate. And look, we had our family day on Sunday for the Renegades, and there were thousands of people there, all wearing red. And I think it's a really clear picture now of how Big Bash cricket works in Victoria, which is great.
Yeah, and so you're kind of like the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox, just clear division there of fan bases. You mentioned your fans wearing red. This year, I'm happy to see the black pants in the mix. I think it makes the kits look a lot less like pajamas myself.
Yes.
Yes. There was a study done in 2005 that determined wearing red improves the team's chance of winning. And there were all sorts of psychological hypotheses for that. And here you've inherited a red cricket team that's finished in last place for the last 2 years. I think, things tend to average out. And with the color red on your side, I think your guys are going to have a great season this year. I think it's going to average out big time.
Yeah, thank you. No, look, we love our strip. I think firstly on the black pants, I agree. I think it's a really nice look, and I think you saw in the IPL how good those kits can look with the different colours. So the black looks really nice. I think that the red, we're very proud of our red strip. It's a very, I think it's a very strong, bold strip, and I think particularly when we're travelling around a lot, it really helps those fans stand out. At the women's final, when we were in hostile ground over in Adelaide, you could see that bay of red, and you can really gather some real strength around that. We'll also have a couple of games in our Indigenous strip, so our Indigenous round for celebrating the Indigenous Australians and their impact on the country and the sport, and that has a lot more black in it with the red, which looks really special as well. So as far from a sports management side, sports admin side, the brand, the red brand, our very strong R, which we think is a bit of almost a call to action or a bat signal almost.
Matches Marvel Stadium, doesn't it?
It does, and you'll see this year a bit more of a theming from the Renegades around that Marvel and that hero approach. We've got a little bit more that we're going to do there, and as we'll build up the presence of that R through the season. So have a look out for that on the telecast. But it's an important part of what we do.
Yeah, that's excellent. The speaking of Marvel Stadium, seats over 40,000 for cricket. That's a lot of fans to watch a T20 game. What are the restrictions this season surrounding the COVID situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they've all been lifted as of a couple of weeks ago, so we're really excited that we can have who needs to be there. I mean, there's obviously very strict processes around double vaccination, scanning in, scanning out, and I think there'll still be some zones and all those sort of key protocols. But as far as capacity goes, it's it will be fine. I think the great thing is it's also the only cricket ground in Australia where it has a closable roof. So when I look out the window, there's a little bit of drizzle around today. There's no worries. We can close the roof if we need to and play tonight, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's very convenient, especially you don't want to split points with anybody. So
exactly right.
So you mentioned the women's quite a bit, which is excellent. USA, like as I said, our women's program is improving all the time. It's really just getting going, but it's promising. We had the recent global qualifier, which kind of was a little bit disastrous, with Thailand kind of excluded after doing so well. As the American women improve their abilities and move up the ladder, do you think that you'll be looking over this way to potentially in the future at American women cricketers?
Absolutely. I think it's we're keeping a keen eye on that. As you say, there's a couple of strong Australian links over there, and we keep a very close eye on all those leagues. And I think the improvement and the professionalism has really caught our eye on both the men's and the women's. So we'll keep a close eye on that. It's slightly different rules on the women's side around the internationals and bringing them in, but it's an important part of what we do. And I think that there's I think it's more, the international focus of our WBBL and our BBL. I think it's important to have many different people, many different players from many different countries as well. I think it brings a great flair to the entertainment product, which is a hugely important part of it. I think it's about I think encouraging those new frontiers, if you will, when you can it can be a really fruitful relationship, particularly with someone like Julia over there. So no, we're keeping a close eye on that, and it's been very impressive on both the men's and women's side.
Yeah, that's excellent. I know the Fair Break has done a great job for exposure for the women's game. Hopefully that continues. Hopefully we get even more women's cricket here in the USA and maybe even some franchise cricket in the future.
Absolutely.
For women. But these things tend to develop in pockets and communities first, and then nationally from there. And yes. Right now, California, Northern California seems to be a big hub for our women.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is the other way. So providing opportunities for our Australian women to play, and so we saw a few playing in the 100 this year in England, and we think as those competitions develop, the more opportunities for our Australian women who are super impressive to play in different areas around the world is great for them as well.
Right, and lastly, do you see a situation in the future, considering we both have different summers? in the northern and southern hemisphere, where Renegades players, maybe some of the younger players, maybe some guys that you're looking at might come over and play in the minor leagues here in the USA?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great point, and I think that it's a really important part of the development of our players. So I think the stronger the American competition is, the better for the world, and we're really excited about what a World Cup bid and the proximity to the West Indies and maybe Olympic Games and all those things can do for the growth of the sport in such an important market. So I think so, and I think providing opportunities to the young players and the Renegades being able to provide opportunities to the young players is a really important part of our player attraction and development as well. And I guess, having only the season for the men and the women each is about 2 months, how we can expand that season and have a stronger presence is really important to us as well. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity, and and to have Unmukt here and to be a part of it and maybe get to know some of the players and get to know the professionalism out here, and that might strengthen those ties and allow that to happen a little bit quicker than it may have before, which is a huge part of it as well.
Most definitely. Well, James, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you giving me your time, and best of luck tonight. It's you're probably about an hour and a half away from play right now, aren't you?
No,
wait,
it's early. It's
sorry.
2 o'clock in the morning. Yep.
I'm thinking about my time.
Yes.
You're about 9 hours away or something like that.
9 hours is spot on. Exactly, Nate. Yep.
Yeah, excellent. Well, good luck to you. Hopefully you start off on the right foot, and hopefully we see the Renegades in the final this year.
Yeah, fantastic. Lovely to chat, and look forward to speaking again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.